Hope you're doing okay. 6 minutes after 8, Howard and Tony at breakfast on BBC Hereford and Worcester, and you have to stay with us at least for another half an hour to hear that cricket story. It's a piece of local, astonishing history. Cricket taught to Nazi Germany in 1950. It is, but equally as fascinating, our hospital patient from Worcester who's won a 3-year battle with the NHS to access a scan he'd had done 10 years ago. In 2011, Andrew Brown asked for a copy of a cardiac ultrasound test. This was to compare with his most recent result, but the hospital, the Worcestershire Royal, refused to let him have it, saying the image was stored on an old system and it just simply cost too much to update, so he can't have it. At one stage, a row broke out about a £2,000 bill. Andrew's with us this morning. Thanks for coming in to tell us the story. Just worth understanding why you really wanted to see this scan, the actual scan in the first place.
Yes, back in 2004 I had a scan and it was said to be normal, but then I had another scan in 2011 after I'd been suffering from some palpitations, and I'd been to hospital by ambulance on 1 or 2 occasions. Anyway, so I had a diagnosis in 2011 based on the scan. I raised some questions about that, and the diagnosis was changed. So then I thought, well, actually, I might like to have a look at the 2004 scan, or at the very least, if I can't understand what I'm looking at, then I've got a hold of a copy and I can show it to somebody who might be able to give me independent advice.
But so the problem was that it was on an outdated system.
Yes, they told me pretty much at the beginning there'd been a change in technology and the discs or whatever weren't readable. So it struck me that, well, for a start, it was my right to have the scan, but then also there must be a lot of other people that were affected, at least potentially affected, whether or not they'd asked for their scans or copies of whatever medical records.
Well, this is the point. I guess, like all things we try and do, you make it relevant to as many people as possible, because you could be sitting there having your cup of tea this morning, your cornflakes, and you think, well, so what? But actually, you never know when you might need this stuff.
You never know when you might need it, and I did a bit of research into it, and I found out that actually hospitals do need to keep these things, not just for people like me, who are, rare animals really that ask for their own records, but for other reasons. They might at some stage need to compare scans across time and so on, or it could be a legal problem and they might need to rely on it. So they do need to keep this stuff, at least for a period of time, and so it was important.
What would you say? It's fair to say this became nasty because there was a bill, and also you were labelled a complainer.
Yes, yeah, it all kind of it all came together really. The vexatious complainant status they gave me, which was eventually overturned, it was all running at the same time. It was very unpleasant. It's been a really unpleasant 3 years.
And the fact that you were ill, or potentially ill, and then you've got this going on as well as a backdrop. What sort of cost has that had on your health, do you think?
Oh, it's really difficult to say. I mean, it certainly made me, I think, more anxious and stressed than I would otherwise have been. It's having to have this uphill struggle all the time over something like that. I mean, for example, at one point they removed me from their cardiology service and said they wouldn't see me in Worcester anymore. So that was pretty unpleasant. Eventually that was reversed, and they said if I was needed to be seen, I would be seen again. So it's been quite difficult. It's been quite fraught.
So is this the end of the matter for you now? You have your scan. You didn't have to fork out £2,000 for it, or is there anything else, any other issue that you have with the hospital and the way you've been done?
No, I haven't got any other issue with them apart from the fact that I think they've got compensation fund within their complaint system for when things have gone wrong. Not like legal compensation where you go to a court, but within their fund, within their complaint system. And I think after 3 years they should give me some sort of recognition through that. But apart from that, I know that they've made changes now, so this sort of thing is very unlikely to happen again. And that's the most important thing of all, really.
To use the word, because it's easier to understand, some sort of compensation from the health service.
Yes, I mean, we're not talking a lot of compensation, but they have got a fund within their complaint system where things have gone wrong to compensate individuals.
How much would you think would be a fair recompense for this?
Well, we're talking hundreds, not thousands. We're not talking £10 for 3 years.
Has the situation changed though now? You've touched on this, that as far as anyone else that needs to access their records, they can get them because of you banging the table, basically.
Hopefully they can. I've been assured that they've made changes, and I've known that for quite some time. They did answer in a Freedom of Information request that there may have been up to 270,000 records affected by the archiving failure when it happened. So I don't know whether or not, as well as actually accessing Mind, finding Mind, they've managed to make other things readable. I know that a lot of stuff they wouldn't have to keep it forever anyway, but they won't necessarily know which ones are in the 270,000, or a maximum of 270,000, perhaps to be more accurate.
Andrew, thank you for coming in to tell us a story. We didn't get anybody from the Trust to speak to us. They did send us a statement saying we'd like to reassure patients that all written results and interpretations of scans, both present and historical, are contained within their individual patient notes for doctors to read. We were pleased to share the written results of Mr. Brown's 2004 scan at the time of his request. After looking at the written results, Mr. Brown wished to receive a copy of the actual scan images. It was the retrieval of these which has taken some time due to obsolete technology. Dated from 2004, the scans were stored on. We are pleased that we now have been able to retrieve these. The Information Commissioner also gave us a statement too, Tony.
Yeah, saying the right to access personal information is a key part of the Data Protection Act, allowing individuals to keep control of their data. It also allows organisations to demonstrate they're looking after their stakeholders' data and being open and transparent about the information they collect. Personal data can be held in a variety of forms, including cardiograms. Subject access requests should be responded to in 40 days, and the information should be in an intelligible form.
That's from the Information Commissioner's office. Andrew, you're in good health?
Well, hopefully. Good. I hope so.
Despite the stress of this.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks for speaking to us this morning. That is appreciated. Andrew Brown with his story. 8:13 is the time.